Nicholas, I really want to get down to some nitty-gritty of China.
Yep.
You went over there, you went over with Daniel Tynan, you went over with Brian Barry, and you were looking at all sorts of new things. The motor show was on, you were guests of Geely.
Yep.
Can you take us through what you learnt, what you saw, what was fascinating?
For sure. Well, I'm lucky enough, this is probably my 10th or 11th trip over to China. I've been to several motor shows over there, sort of spanning the last sort of 10, 15 years. So it's changed quite dramatically.
Even the cities have changed.
I've been blown away by just how advanced they've gotten. This last trip, we were lucky enough to go over with Geely to Guangzhou, where their headquarters is. We got run through all the factory. So I can't describe to you how amazed I am and how just blown away and shocked of the sophistication of this factory. It's just nothing I've ever seen. They took
what you were saying is you could basically eat off the floor. It was so clean.
I'm shocked. I've told everyone I've spoken to since, they all think I'm a bit odd of how cool I think this motor factory was. But we saw Volvos coming off the production line, Zeekas, Polesters, Lotus, everything was all built in the same factory. And they just...
There were Volvos coming out of that factory.
Correct,
yeah,
yep,
right.
That all comes out of the same factory. And then as well, they had this huge wind tunnel where they could turn, a thunderstorm on. They could turn a switch of a lot into snowstorms. They could put gale force winds or desert conditions. They tested all the paint, all the componentry, and then they had the biggest indoor crash test facility in the world.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. They literally sat us down and said, watch this. And they crashed an EV, I think 80 Ks an hour, 85 Ks an hour, straight into another car. So they rode off two cars in front of us for the sake of the conference and just went,
and how much further ahead are they than we are here now sitting? What are we getting? Are we getting their new technology, or are we still behind?
No, we're getting the technology. We're getting the latest and greatest. Although obviously our legislation with self-driving cars is obviously a bit behind. But I went in a self-driving taxi and I was a bit uneasy with it. It was a bit scary to sit in there and not have someone in the driver. And it drove us all around the city, which was crazy. And I think that if it can, drive around the cities of Guangzhou with sort of 6-7 lane highways, I think it'd be pretty good here in Cronulla, don't you think?
Well, so in the next 5 years, what are the trends that you saw that were going to be hitting our market here?
I think tech and more tech, bigger screens. A lot of the stuff has got to do with connected cars, so your phone being connected to the car, your phone, being the key,
right.
The phone unlocking, driving, this, that, the other. As well as that, a lot of it is to do with either extended range hybrids or
getting
plug-in
further
hybrids.
Kilometres, so you don't have that range anxiety.
And then just more and more product.
And with that AI that you're saying,
yep.
What's there that you think, I really can't wait till that hits Australia?
Yeah, just all of it, really. That kind of excites me. I'm a bit of a car nerd myself, so I just like more and more tech in the cars and, being able to hit a switch and say, this is my destination, and sitting in the back seat to think that that's a possibility is pretty cool. And obviously, from a road safety point of view, the less car accidents we can have. Australia's probably the only country in the world that, every long weekend or Easter break, we have our road toll. I don't like having that on my news where we count how many people have passed away on our roads. So if we can get to a point where self-driving cars can eradicate that or lower it even by 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever you can do, it's pretty awesome.
Well, I think what they do now, you can confirm or take me further on this, but the AI they're getting out of each car, they're then building to that AI.
Correct, yep.
So whether it be safety, whether it be tech, whether it be, for whatever reason, they're starting to build those cars around the tech that they're drawing in from every car that they've got.
As you're driving, say, a hybrid vehicle, it'll pick up how much fuel you're using, how can we save fuel, what can we do to save fuel as you're driving in real time. So the AI is actually working in your actual vehicle to save you fuel.
And with the Geely that's just come into our market, we've now got it down at Miranda. Mm-hmm. Did anything come out of that you saw that is different to what we've got here now?
This new SUV they got coming, or could be coming, that I may or may not have seen in the flesh. I'm pretty excited about that one. So stay tuned, I suppose. That's probably the biggest one. I'm pretty excited about that one coming.
Now, when you're in China too, we've just taken on another new brand, which is up with you, up at Kurawee, is GAC.
Yep.
It's new to our family. They've got some startling new product
Yep.
that has come and is coming.
For sure.
Can you run us through a little bit of that, of what's happening there?
So obviously being over in China, I did see a lot of the GACs driving in and around the streets, so they are quite popular. They have their EV brand called Aeon, which is AION. That's a company formed in collaboration with Toyota. So a lot of their technologies and a lot of their vehicles are similar to Toyota, and you'll see that if you look at the cars and on what the appearance is or what the tech is, it's very similar to that.
I took all the GACs down to Southern Districts, our new sponsorship down in Sylvania Waters. Everyone was blown away with their van. I suppose they don't call it van anymore, do they? I'm very old-fashioned, but it blew me away with the tech in that car.
Yep, it's like literally
it's like a plane.
A luxury, like almost just a private box at like a movie theatre. Really, it's a big massage chairs. You can lie back and chill out.
What do you think they're going to bring to Australia that is different?
Well, that was probably the biggest trend I saw in China. A lot of these brands have got people movers, and they're always either 2 seats in the back or 3 seats in the back. I saw one at the Geely conference where literally it was basically a 4-seater vehicle with the driver and the passenger, and then they had a big movie screen there, and then it was just 2 seats in the back, and then storage space at the back, and it was movie screen, fridge in the back there. You can sit back there while the driver drives. You can just sit back and hang out and watch the. And
then also you've got that if you're a tradie or you were having to do deliveries, you could have all that space in the back too, can you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And now, who do you think is going to buy these GACs? Who's the market?
I'd say, well, they've got obviously a stretch. You've got your little M Zoom, which is probably your first car buyer, sub 30K.
Right. That's good money.
Yes, yeah, definitely something like that. Or your first EV buyers, or it could be your mum and dad that wants to get the people mover to move the kids around and get that plug-in hybrid going for them.
I think the tech buyers too will be buying it. I think that will be something else that people will be looking at, is the tech that's available in there and the incredible value.
Value for money is probably what I would say. You'd hit the nail on there with that.
You're going, GAC, Geely, like the value for money and the style. It looks very Italian in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, GAC, as I said, they're in collaboration with Toyota, so you can sort of see that Toyota element to it. And then you look at Geely, obviously with their collaborations
with
through
Volvo,
you can see that Swedish design through there, so it's much more simplistic, much more European. So you can see the divide between the two. But to the untrained eye, probably a car's a car. So
we chose GAC to go into Kirrawee for quite a few reasons. Can you just elaborate on why we thought the Kirrawee site was the best Tynan site to put that brand?
Yeah, obviously it will work in conjunction with Hyundai, I suppose, to a lot of extent. There's a lot of vehicles in Hyundai that do work well with the GAC brand too, with the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, all that sort of stuff with the Aeon brands too. And obviously the
Suzuki.
And then obviously Suzuki next door with your Swift. So yeah, it's one of those brands that's really going to complement what we already have.
To Australians that are saying these new brands coming out of China, etc., we are going to have 58 new brands by the end of next year. What do you say to those people that have always driven a certain brand and then we've got all these new brands? What do you say to them? How do you sort of explain what they are, how they are?
Yeah, obviously quality is obviously in the proof's in the pudding. You could probably put it that. Give it a go. Yeah.
Drive it.
Just drive it.
Drive it is probably the best thing.
As I said, I was probably once not a believer. I'm lucky enough to go over there and see what they actually have. They've got a huge population. It doesn't take a wizard to work out what works and what doesn't over there. So, yeah.
Exactly. So we've had the launch of the Geely brand down here. We had a fabulous night. Please look online. We've got some great videos there where it's not far off to having a launch. We're still waiting on some of our signage up at Kirrawee. So make sure that you look online to know what that is. Just taking us back a bit, if your grandfather walked into all these new brands, what do you think he would have to say? It's completely changed of what's coming, what's out there. The brands are changing. What do you think he would say?
Well, I remember him telling me a very funny story once about when he started selling Mazda. And he was telling me how there was protesters out the front of the dealership, arm in arms, protesting that a Japanese manufacturer was in this area. And he said to me he struggled for a long time because obviously after World War II there was probably some negative sentiment towards the Japanese. look where the Japanese are now.
Exactly.
Toyota's the biggest manufacturer in the world of cars.
Exactly.
You've got Suzuki down there. You've got, Subaru. Most people would say, what car is the best car in the world? You'd say a Japanese car. So you go from 40, 50 years ago, my grandfather was struggling to sell cars in this area because he was being picketed and people were protesting the fact that a Japanese manufacturer was here.
Very true.
I think he'd be wary. He'd probably still want to drive a certain Japanese vehicle we no longer sell. But I think he'd be pretty excited of what's to come and the technology in the car. He was a pretty understated man, so he'd probably say, all right, just give me an i30 and we'll be away, or a Subaru Outback or something like that. He'd be pretty pumped about that. He'd be probably annoyed at how big the screens are, and as long as the cigarette lighter worked, he'd be pretty stoked.
I think too, more than 60 years we've been going as a family company, and it's been very carefully selected on the brands that we've chosen to represent.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's always been about relationships. And that was one thing that your grandfather, my dad, and Daniel, Kieran, myself, and now you have been great, because it's actually, you've got to build those relationships with your brands, and then it's a partnership. And I think that's something that we've been managing to do for over 60 years now. So the vision that we've got for the company now, where do you see that going?
You got to compete. You got to adapt and overcome the challenges, obviously, in the marketplace. Obviously, not all these brands are going to survive, no matter what country they're from. But I think the consumer is changing too.
Yeah, I agree.
Cars have become more and more expensive. Government regulations has forced these car manufacturers to put technology in these vehicles, which is, probably for the better. But obviously with technology comes price rises, as well as hybrid sort of being forced into the market with the new vehicle emission scheme. So whether we like it or not, cars have become more expensive over the last 5 to 10 years. I'll say that's probably going to keep going up trajectory-wise, because, your modern car compared to what it was 10 years ago, we didn't have blind spot monitoring, we didn't have lane keep assist, we didn't have radar cruise control, we didn't have all these types of technologies in it that you get into a base model Swift and it's got it all. Yeah. So you go, okay, so I'm buying this, but it could be more expensive, but it's a lot safer, it has a lot more going on, and you don't have to be the best driver in the world to get off an unsafe situation. My kids are young, but one day they're going to get in the car, and I'll be thankful for the cars that we have today that will be used cars in, say, 10, 15 years' time.
I believe we're looking forward to a really exciting future for Tynan Motors and the brands that we represent. We are looking at taking on some other new brands. That's for another day, another discussion. Electric cars are here to stay. Our hybrids are really pumping, and it's a part of our future, and it's a part of the Tynan family. We welcome you to come onto our website. We welcome you to come onto our chat. Look at our socials. Reach out to Nicholas or myself or any of our family, and we'd love to welcome you to the Tynan Motor Group.